What's up, everybody? Ron P. WiseGuyBets with some NBA value picks for today. DraftKings main slate. We got 10 games on the slate. I'm going to give you players who I think on a 5X, 6X, maybe 7X their salary. Most of my players are probably going to be under the 6K mark. I think that's where the value really kicks in at, under the 6K mark. So let's get right into it and look at the point guard position. At point guard, we're looking at Kyle Guy for Miami. He's 4,100 on DraftKings. He has a projection of 23. He has a minute projection of 24 for tonight. And over his last month, he's had 1.1 fantasy points per minute. So let's look at his last three. Miami, by the way, is really hit hard by injuries and COVID. So Guy should see his 24 minutes tonight. Let's look at his last three games. He's actually only played two that DraftKings show, and he's had 35 and 17. So, hey, I like Cal Guy in this position tonight. Let's look at the shooting guard position. At shooting guard, we're looking at Nick Alexander Walker for New Orleans. They're going against Utah tonight. He's 4,100 on DraftKings. Also, his projection for tonight is 26, and he has a minute projection of 26 also. Let's look at his last three. His last three, he's had 19 and 27 minutes, 37 and 26 minutes, and 22 in 30 minutes. His minute, he's scoring 0.97 fantasy points per minute in the last month. He's playing against Utah. Utah defends pretty good at the position, but I like Walker in this position tonight based on his minutes projection, of 26 to 30 minutes. If he gets those minutes, I feel very comfortable that he's going to get his projection of 26 fantasy points. Let's look at the small forward position. At small forward, we're looking at Marcus Morris Sr. for the LA Clippers. He's 6,000 on DraftKings. He has a projection of 30 for tonight. He has a minute projection of 34. Minnesota's 26 versus the small forward position. Morris is scoring 1.08 fantasy points per minute in the last month. Let's look at his last three games. His last three, he's had 36 fantasy points in 38 minutes. He had 41.5 fantasy points in 38 minutes, and he had 40 fantasy points in 27 minutes. I see more of the 40 fantasy points in a 27-minute type of game against a awful Minnesota defense against the small forward position. So I like Morris Sr. in this position tonight. Let's look at the power forward position, and we're going to go to the Memphis-Brooklyn game. We're going to look at Brandon Clark. Brooklyn is 16th versus the power forward position. Brandon Clark is 3,800 on DraftKings. His projection for tonight is 25. His minute projection is 23. He's given us 1.19 fantasy points per minute in the last 28 days. Let's look at Clark's last three games. In his last game, he gave us 35 fantasy points over 23 minutes. Prior to that, he gave us 10 fantasy points in 18 minutes, which wasn't a good game. Prior to that, he gave us 8 fantasy points in 11 minutes. Prior to that, he gave us 25 fantasy points in 15 minutes and 19 points in 15 minutes. His minute projection is 23 tonight against a Brooklyn team who's not very good at this position. I think he reaches a projection of 25 and on a $3,800 salary. That's a win. So I like Brandon Clark at the power forward position tonight. Let's look at the center position, and we're going to the Charlotte at Washington game. We're looking at Daniel Gaffrey. Charlotte is 28th versus center position. Gaffrey is 6,000 on DraftKings. He has a projection tonight of 26. He has a minute projection of 32. Let's look at his game log. Over his last game, he gave us 33 fantasy points in 20 minutes. Prior to that, he gave us 35 fantasy points in 32 minutes. Prior to that, he gave us 36 fantasy points in 36 minutes. So you see how it kind of goes with Gaffrey. He's given us 1.03 fantasy points per minute over the last month. His projection for the night is 32. I expect him to get over 30 fantasy points. His fantasy point projection is 26. I think he exceeds that tonight. So let's do a little brief recap here. We're looking at Kyle Guy from Miami. He's the backup point guard. He's going to get played tonight because Miami is decimated by injuries and COVID issues. We're looking at Nick Alexander-Walker at shooting guard for the New Orleans Pelicans. We're looking at Marcus Morris Sr. at small forward for the Clippers, who I think should have a huge game. We're looking at Brandon Clark for Memphis against Brooklyn, who has a favorable matchup. And we're looking at Daniel Gafford against Charlotte. I think Gafford and Morris are the two guys who are really going to excel tonight in the value picks that I selected. So those are my picks for the night. If my video helps you, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. That's all I have for today. Until the next video. Peace.